Recently, I uploaded a video about 3 ways to kill Hypixel SkyBlock just by changing a few lines of code. If you haven't seen that video, I would highly recommend it. Link in the top right hand corner. Hint, hint. But it turns out that SkyBlock is, again, more fragile than you think. So I've thought up of 3 more ways to kill the game with some very slight changes, or in some cases, not any changes at all. But yeah, without further ado, let's go. For many Hypixel SkyBlock players, the Community Center update was one of the most controversial changes to the game. Simon himself said in a now deleted tweet that SkyBlock would never go pay to win, but after months of attacks from exploiters and hackers and dupers, and the community's never-ending hunger for new content updates, the team needed to expand. In the early days, SkyBlock was not a game that made a lot of money. Historically, Hypixel as a network has been really bad at making money, especially after the Minecraft EULA changes a few years back. Even before MVP++, Hypixel just did not make a lot of money per player. I'm surprised they were even able to function. That being said, the Community Center added a lot of features that are still seen as controversial to this day, including spending gems on booster cookies. These items can be bought and sold in the bazaar, giving the entire player base access to bits, which can be spent on all sorts of things like god potions, heat cores, enrichments, enchantments. The thing is though, a player can spend gems to buy cookies, then immediately sell them on the bazaar, basically just buying coins directly. Some players will tell you that this is pay to win, which I'm on the fence for. Sure, coins are a massive part of obtaining gear in the game, but you can't just buy something like Catacombs 40 or Fishing 50 or collecting every single pelt or all the fairy souls. Because of this, the game mode has survived pretty well, despite the fact that some players take the easy way out and just buy coins. This continues to fuel the development and maintenance of the game while not demotivating players who can't buy coins. What would happen if Hypixel decided to structure things a little differently, say by adding some items to the gem shop? 1 million farming XP token for 10 gems, an entire catacombs level for just $5. Is it too difficult for you to reach the requirements to use that Necron armor you bought with cookie money? Just buy a floor 7 completion for $10. Delving into more blatantly pay-to-win practices would be a massive insult to the pre-existing player base, and almost every accomplishment in the game would suddenly be a lot less impressive. In protest, many players would probably quit. Many more, in my opinion, than the amount that would indulge in the new shop options. Hypixel rides a fine line with how they monetize SkyBlock, and any adjustment in the direction of pay to win would be a terrible choice for the long-term performance of the game. It may be surprising to hear though that there would not be any pushback from Mojang for these changes, considering that SkyBlock is a PvE game mode. Therefore, it's technically not a competitive game, so pay to win is actually allowed, believe it or not. Would the game survive? Most likely not, although many people will probably still play the game at first, and a few whales, as I'd like to call them, would still pay a ton of money on the game. That's not an insult to their weight, by the way. They're literally, in the gaming world, game dev world, whales are considered people that spend thousands of dollars on a game because they have money. The thing is, players would slowly quit over the following months or years, either getting bored with the game or just being demotivated because people could just buy their way to the top. There's a game that I remember that worked this way, and that was Clash of Clans. Massively pay to win. People just get too demotivated to actually play and then just leave. The amount of players who'd be willing to throw a few bucks at the game for some coins would probably go down, because again, you'd have to spend so much more to get anything meaningful. And eventually the server would be forced to downsize, selling off servers to keep from hemorrhaging money. The game would then slowly decrease in capacity and relevance until other games like Bed Wars took everyone's attention away. So yeah, that's a unfortunate way to end the game's existence, would just be by forcing everyone away because everything's too expensive, or you know. I think this game benefits a lot from basically, again, the concept of whales paying for everyone else to get bits. It's a very clever system. I think they did the monetization properly in SkyBlock, in my opinion. So next up, there's a reason that Hypixel SkyBlock needs so much attention from the development team, and why new content doesn't come out as frequently as the team promises, and that's exploiters. Behind the scenes, there's a constant war between the developers and people who hide dupe methods from the public and abuse them privately to sell coins to unsuspecting customers. For these players, it's a business to exploit SkyBlock's system to profit, which, disclaimer, is a terrible idea to get wrapped up in as a customer. Duped coins are trackable, and you will be banned and not get a refund for your coins. These dupers and IRL traders count on the fact that you pay them before you inevitably get banned for IRL trading. Seriously, don't do it. What usually happens is that some transactions get flagged as sketchy, while the admins ban the players involved and investigate the origins of the dupe coins and materials. With enough testing and reports from the player base, the dupes are then patched in an update. Does anyone else remember the storage update that made backpacks no longer usable in the inventory and made it so if you try to click on a builder's wand or a basket of seeds, try to put it in an ender chest slot, doesn't work? You have to click 3 times to get into a backpack. You can't just open it in your hotbar. Yeah, that's because of dupers. What would happen if suddenly Hypixel stopped caring about dupes and exploits, and while they were at it, they disabled captchas and watchdog? Cheaters and exploiters would be able to run wild and trade their coins to anyone who wants them, no strings attached. Well, what would happen to the game? Well, first of all, massive inflation would happen. Armies of sugarcane bots would churn away on their islands, producing double chests full of enchanted cane per day. Sometimes even from one computer, running 30 instances of Minecraft with macros. That's a thing, by the way. Apparently there's a way to run Minecraft without showing any of the graphics and just having a player mine away. It's the lengths that some of these people go to is ridiculous. All of these quote players would then sell their cane to NPCs or the trade menu and introduce hundreds of millions of coins into the economy with no regulation whatsoever. Customers would then buy these coins for IRL money, then buy whatever items they want from the auction house or bazaar, driving up demand. Soon, the price of every item in the game would rise in price since the supply wouldn't really be able to keep up with the sheer amount of people paying with cheated money. Players who get valuable RNG drops would be paid way more than they probably should when selling their stuff, leading to a trickle-down effect, which would just flood the entire economy with just way too many coins. Ironically, this would also make the game pay to win, which would, you know, like I said, have the same results that I just said above. I don't know if it would get Mojang involved if it was, you know, IRL traders, but it would definitely lead to the same demotivation and people just quitting the game. But let's go the other direction. Let's say a new dupe method was discovered and the admins weren't around to patch it. The method would be posted all over YouTube with thousands of players abusing it. Let's just say it's not gonna look good. You could probably, you know, use the method to duplicate Necron handles to the point where you can get double chests full of them for free. This would have the opposite effect of people cheating, basically. It would lead to all RNG items becoming completely useless, or any item in the game becoming completely useless. SkyBlock would become a playground for anyone willing to throw a few dollars at exploiters to get their quick fix of the illusion of progression. Coins as a whole wouldn't really mean anything anymore, and the only players left to enjoy the game would probably be Iron Man profiles. That would not be good. But I guess, yeah, there's a reason why the admins don't release content updates as frequently as they promise. It's probably because, again, they're just doing this 24/7 constant war against the dupers and IRL traders and exploiters. You know, the scum of the gaming community, basically. It sucks. Every game I've ever played has devolved into this over time. You know, if you go into an old, like, Modern Warfare 2 lobby in Call of Duty, it's going to be nothing but hackers. Like, it really is unfortunate the way these things go. I think anti-cheat needs to be prioritized more in the gaming space. It's just really unfortunate. That's how this goes. As a Hypixel SkyBlock YouTuber, my worst fear and the biggest threat to my career right now is the content drought. This is a term that's been thrown around for over a year now, and it's the idea that there isn't enough new content in SkyBlock to really do anything interesting in videos. That being said, Fezzy and I have found a way to somewhat avoid it by being really good at extracting footage out of VODs. It kind of drains Fezzi's soul to do that, so we've been trying to do more recorded videos lately. But yeah, the content drought isn't really good for anybody. It's a difficult situation, but I would say we've probably sidestepped it at this point. We just need to make more recorded content, some of which not even in the game. But anyway, what would happen to SkyBlock if it suddenly just stopped getting content updates altogether? Out of all the methods of killing the game I've said so far, this one would probably be the slowest and most painful way to kill the game. In the first 3 to 4 months of no update, not much would change. Some endgame players might grumble about there being nothing new to do, and a lot of creators like myself would be forced to, again, adapt and upload other content, which is something I'm doing. I've got a fun video where I eat the world's hottest chip as punishment for losing a Bed Wars game. You should watch it by clicking the card, top right hand corner. It's good stuff. We're already in the process because multiple times this game has gone 3 to 4 months with no substantial content updates. So, you know, these things happen. But something that's a little less frequent is going 6 months without a content update. The outcry from the community would likely get a little bit more severe, and we'd actually experience something like what happened in fall to winter 2020. Many content creators quit all within a week of each other, probably because they were just, it was a cascading effect of demotivation between all the YouTubers. Considering like 90% of the community plays casually and can't catch up to the meta by dumping 8 hours a day into the game, we'd probably not see a big decrease in the player count at first. The real problems would likely show up at around the 8-month mark. YouTubers would have either left the space completely or suffered a massive drop in viewership due to being confined to doing the same thing over and over to make videos. This would cut off SkyBlock's most valuable asset, and that's new players. As the time with no update approaches a year, many of the casual players would start to reach the late game. The new generation of noobs would be much smaller, and as people get bored, they would leave the game. SkyBlock would start bleeding players as the number of new players just can't keep up with the number moving on with their lives, playing other games maybe. After that, I can't see any other scenario other than with each passing month, more players would leave than the amount that start and join fresh, and SkyBlock would make less and less money. Soon after, Hypixel would have to sell off server space to keep costs down. The player count would continue to decrease, and then after about 2 years, only the most dedicated players would be left. This is the fate that I've seen for, again, I've mentioned this earlier, Clash of Clans, which peaked in popularity in July 2014, never innovated, and then slowly died out, and it remains where it sits today, a mere 6% the popularity it once was. What I observed was that it took the game about 2 years to, quote, die. Again, because there was no updates. I remember I used to play Clash of Clans all the time. I was a big fan of the game, and then I guess, well, nothing changed. It was just the same login, collect your, God, it's been so long, mines and pumps, and then try to attack a base, and that's about it. SkyBlock will likely have the same fate someday, but continuing to push updates will push that date further and further away. So I guess in this scenario, Hypixel SkyBlock doesn't die, it just becomes irrelevant and people forget it exists. Of course, given 10, 20, 30 years, the game would most likely die with Minecraft, like everything else in our forever aging universe, slowly marching towards the inevitable heat death of the universe. Anyways, and there you have it. 3 more ways to kill SkyBlock by changing just a few lines of code, or not changing any at all. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like down below, and if you could think of any more ways to kill this game, I'd be happy to explore what that might look like. Well, anyways, if you want to see more content like this, you should subscribe, and I guess that's it. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later.